For the first time in forever, the Disney parks did what the Pixie Dusters said we should never ask for, and that is, they finally brought their A game. A huge number of attractions announced, lands, expansions, and more. Unfortunately, it's not coming soon enough to match up directly with Epic Universe, but it might be coming just in time for the farewell of Bob Iger. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Pro Channel, where we endeavor to explain entertainment, keep you ahead of the culture curve, and we have a penchant for explaining the parks. And, folks, that means we have quite the bevy of things to go through. D23 last night was a very interesting affair. The Parks and Experiences panel opened up as slowly as you could possibly ever have imagined. It was molasses in winter in Alaska. That is what it was. And listen, I love John Stamos. Ultimately, though, John Stamos sang, by the way. Ultimately, people are not going to remember that for 1 hour, we essentially got nothing. Nobody's going to remember that when these things are being built. Today, in this video, we're going to run through everything that was announced and give you our good and bad ratings. We don't have time to spend time on things like the international parks. There's so much domestic, we'll cover that. And we may come back to international. And each one of these things will probably merit their own video in the future. So just understand we're going through quickly. All right, folks, we're going to start off. We're using X today, and we're going to be following along with Brayden and Mickey Views. And the reason we're doing that is we had live coverage last night through that park place. And we thought it was the best live coverage on the planet. More than 1,000 of you apparently thought so as well. That said, I thought that Brayden did a phenomenal job on X of keeping people updated. And so we're going to use that today. All right, let's go through these, and I'm going to give you analysis and also pull up some stuff that you need to hear. And Disney, you also need to listen in on this video because we've got some thoughts here. First up, the Kocho boat ride announced for Disney California Adventure featuring next-level animatronics. Work begins in 2026, according to Parks Chairman Josh D'Amaro. The reason that that's going to wait until 2026, and I think that's optimistic, I think it's more likely 2027, is because there are infrastructural demands that the state of California and Anaheim have on Disney. Disney has to destroy some parking garages before they can build some parking garages before they can start on this. So if Disney hits this by 2026, it's going to be, we haven't seen Disney build at that pace in a very, very long time. So we'll see. I would also say that this would have been a better announcement had they said that this was also coming to Epcot. I don't want to hear the excuses for why they can't. I want to hear the reasons about how they'll overcome those challenges and bring it to Epcot. They have spent 5, 6, 7 years destroying Epcot, and we'd like for them to put it back together now. All the projects revealed tonight are moving dirt starting 2029, Brayden says in sort of a joking manner. We got the announcement about the nighttime parade that's going to be going to quite a few different Disney parks. And overall, that's probably a win. They need these nighttime parades to hold guests in, but also running 2 parades in the evenings at Magic Kingdom. That was something that they did for decades, and it's so important because it staggers the exit of guests and makes it less chaotic. Definitely a win, but we'll have to wait until we get actual video of the parade, and we'll be there on the scene for the premiere, the debut of that parade. We'll be there to give you our thoughts. We may live stream it. We'll see. Walt Disney is becoming an animatronic plane rotation at Lincoln, or with Lincoln, at Disneyland's Opera House. And on this one, folks, what I would say is they got to be awful careful with this one because this gets a little bit, I don't know, macabre to me. I don't know how I feel about having Walt turned into an animatronic 60 years after his passing and put back in the parks to play for the guests. Seems a little weird, and I'm sure there's a way to do this that's appropriate and respectful and good. There's also a significant uncanny valley you could have, and so hopefully they do it the right way. We'll see. They are significantly plussing the Tropical America's entrance and the facades on the repurposed Dinoland buildings since the leaks earlier this year. That is correct. Also, folks, we got confirmation that what I had told you before regarding no Kocho in this area. So Kocho is no longer in that area. Now, here's my first suggestion to Disney, and I mean this, Disney. Listen closely. You need to put animals. You need to put animal exhibits in this. Disney has clearly been listening to some of the channels that have made some of these critiques of them. This is Animal Kingdom. This is a fantastic and unique park. I know that there have been many in Disney trying to get away with doing this without any animal exhibits. You should not do that. This should come with animal exhibits. It's not too late to make sure that happens. There are a great number of amazing critters that we would all like to see, and few people have seen, by the way, out of South America. You can do this. Go for it. All right, we get the view of the expansion land. We've seen this before, so no surprise there. And Mickey Views and Brayden taking a bit of a victory lap, and I think they deserve it. I think they've done a phenomenal job, and we like to take victory laps too. Here's going to be one of those. Brayden says, haters scrolling back to April to delete their tweets that I made this up. And he's talking about this new version of Radiator Springs. They're not going to call it Radiator Springs, but it's cars, and it's coming to Frontierland. I'm not excited for this at all, and I'll tell you why in a moment. Now, we had this as well, and folks, we're here to tell you that Brayden had it before us. We know that because we might have been tipped off. We won't tell you who tipped us off, but it's not a hard guess. but anyway, the Radiator Springs coming to Frontierland in Magic Kingdom. This is going to be our first adventure in needing to show you something really important. Let me go to the map real quick. Okay, so here we are. We're in Magic Kingdom. Okay, everybody see the castle? Happy Castle? Okay, good. Frontierland's over here. So let me show you what I'm thinking about this. We've got a new Cars mini area coming to Frontierland. I don't think that Cars fits Frontierland whatsoever at all. Zero, nada. But then again, Tiana's Bayou Adventure doesn't either, so who cares anymore? All right, so if the Cars mini land is going to go over here in this expansion pad to the northwest of Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, and if we're going to reroute guests underneath the railroad station out the north side of the queue area for Tiana's, it's going to take a lot of theming and take a lot of work, but we can go up through here and through the maintenance bay for the steamboat. Then I'm fine with that. If it goes here, you know, it's out of the way. It's not intrusive to the theming, whatever. If, however, Disney decides that they want to destroy Tom Sawyer Island, take out the Rivers of America, or if they want to just leave this section, the bottom half of Rivers of America, dock the steamboat, and leave the bottom half of Tom Sawyer Island, and then replace the top half of all this with the Cars area, then I'm a no-go for that. I'll be very critical if that's Disney's plan. If their plan is to put it northwest of Big Thunder, then it's extra capacity, and that's what we've been asking for. It is definitely not what I would recommend Disney do, and it is not well-themed. But, you know, we don't get to make, you know, not every demand can be met, and we can't be so picky. So if they put it up here, that's fine. If they put it down here, then they're destroying the overall look and feel of Liberty Square, of Frontierland, and it would be a terrible eyesore and just awful. So please, Disney, okay? Let's not do that. All right, continue right along. Oh, that's the WDW Magic. We'll come back to them in just a moment. All right, so Brayden talks about where Monsters, Inc. coaster is going to go. That's another thing that was announced last night. My, oh my, there was a lot of things that were announced last night. Let's scroll up and see if he's got a picture of it. He does, okay. So here's what was announced last night. Brayden, I might owe you $5 for your X feed for this video. And by the way, folks, I bowed out after the first hour because it was so terrible, the presentation. So terrible. So I bowed out. That Park Place personnel, Jonas and Vash and Culture and Marvin, LW Ghost, they kept going. I just could not. Okay. So let's take a look at this. This is the concept art for the new Monsters, Inc. land. And there's been some speculation, and Brayden's doing that here, where he says Muppet Courtyard or Animation Courtyard. Now, I'm going to say that this is none of those. I think this entire exterior is part of the land, and I say that because they've got a "Don't Stalk" on the traffic light. So I don't think this is any of those lands. I also think it's loosely based on, you know, what will actually be. So I'll tell you where I think this is going to go. And here's another concept artist, which shows you that they really don't know what it's going to look like in the final product. All right, now there are limited places that you can put this in Hollywood Studios. And again, placement is really going to matter. So this is Hollywood Studios, and we'll turn it in the direction that you all are most used to seeing. So here's the entrance. Ignore some of the construction. This Google map is old. They have not updated yet. So if you walk into Hollywood Studios and you come towards Mickey's Runaway Railway, if we go to the left, you'll see Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular. You'll see the restaurant there, the Backlot Cafe, and we've got Star Tours. Now, the rumor that is happening right now is that they're going to destroy Star Tours. I would very much recommend that Disney not do that. I think that would be I think that would be a sin against George Lucas. I really mean that. It would be akin to destroying the Muppet Vision 3D. Okay, so if you destroyed Muppet Vision, to me that's the last beautiful thing from Jim Henson. So it's kind of sacred, right? Don't destroy it. And so the same thing is true with Star Tours. Like, I think that's George. I don't think you should destroy the thing that George did in your parks. All that other Star Wars stuff, that's you, and it's you're stuck with it. But Star Tours is George. So here's what I think. At Disney, I hope you're listening, and I think you are. Although you definitely don't have to take my advice, but I'm giving it to you, and now you have the option of doing this. And if you do something else that is not good, well, we'll call you out on it. All right. Backlot, I'm really sorry. I think you're going to have to go. I think backlot is the thing that has to go. Take it down. And then this parking area here that once upon a time was supposed to be a parking garage. What you can do, you're going to have to move one of the warehouse buildings over. Sorry, parade floats. And so you're going to have this pathway now that comes through this area, goes beside Star Tours. You'll have to hide it a little bit. And then Monsters, Inc. can go right out here, right out into the parking lot. Of course, barricaded off. This will be mostly a show building. This would be the entrance area. You'll have to take the parade and backstage area either around that show building, or you can drop it underneath the pedestrian bridge that goes into Monsters, Inc. Either way is fine with me. I think the pedestrian bridge is better, but and what that does, folks, the reason that's important enough for me to talk about it in a video is that increases capacity. You see, look at this parking lot. They've added this parking lot, they've expanded it tremendously. This parking lot is bigger than the park itself. There's way too much parking here. There is way too much parking. You don't need all this parking. So what you need to do is you need to expand the footprint of this park. What happens is that because there's so much capacity that they've allowed to go in, but the footprint of the park is so small, that's how you get these situations where in Toy Story Land, you get absolute shoulder to shoulder, even on an empty day. Even when the rest of the park's empty, people can't move around in here. The reason is you don't have enough pedestrian space. And so Disney, you don't need to destroy another ride. Don't destroy Star Tours. Please don't do that, because if you do that, if you destroy Star Tours to put this in, then you're just replacing one ride for another. So we don't need that. You need extra capacity. You definitely need extra capacity. Of course, the official Magic Kingdom Villains Land logo came out. And Villains Land, let's see if we've got anything off this. We've got the Spaceship Earth Lounge. That's nice. That's nice. Not enough. All right, so here's the Villains Land image down there. And I'm going to show you where that really needs to go. Give me just a second, folks, to pull this up by the magic of WDW Pro. Here we go. All right. So here we are back at Magic Kingdom. All right, where does Villains Land have to go? Does it need to go? I'm going to show you where it needs to be. Again, Disney, if you destroy the Rivers of America, if you destroy Tom Sawyer Island, that's going to ruin so much of the aesthetic of two of your lands. Please don't do that. Again, okay? Please don't do that. And you've got time to make these decisions. Villains Land needs to go behind the Magic Kingdom, with potential access points by reconfiguring the restrooms behind Gaston's Tavern with an over the Utilidors access road pathway for pedestrians that hides where they are, that they're over that. You could also go over here to where most people charge their phones. That's the charging the phones tent right back here. No air conditioning. It's blazing hot, so not many people enjoy it. And you decided not to put cushions on those seats. How dare you? But Disney, you could do a ramped, sloping pathway that gets you into this area there. And then finally, you could actually even have the Rivers of America receive an additional dock where you can dock boats to drop off passengers, and that would be really neat. And all of this land back here, okay, so we're looking at it now. All of this land here, that's a huge amount of space. I don't have the exact numbers on it, but it's plenty of space to hold this Villains Land that you're talking about. And I believe, what did we say last night? 11 acres, something like that. Maybe that's the Animal Kingdom. No, surely not. Okay, anyway, so you got plenty of space. You got space to put in a roller coaster. There's no problem with any of that. Please put it here. The only problem that Disney will land in with putting it back here is that during the fireworks, they would probably have to close the land for 20 minutes, right? So that would mean that guests would have to go into the buildings for 20 minutes. They would have to, but you can figure that all out as you get ready to build it. That's not a problem. It is a problem, but it's an overcomable problem. Why does it need to go back here? Well, because again, this idea that you're going to destroy, these parts of the park over here that have, they provide you with intangibles, right? They provide you with an immersion that you can't get at many other parks in the world. Okay, so if you put it up here, it's completely hidden away. It's an entirely brand new thing. You haven't had to destroy any old stuff to get new stuff. And that's been the problem with Disney, has been destroying old stuff to get new stuff. So there you go. There's the image. All right. And then that's it for Brayden. We want to thank Brayden, by the way. Brayden is phenomenal at what he does, and we appreciate him. We'll have to collaborate at some point, I'm sure, but if we haven't already. That doesn't yet take into account, though, the Monsters, Inc. Space. Just to say that, and this is, by the way, WDW Magic. It's the door coaster is what's going in that building, and the door coaster is something that they've been talking about for 15 years. So they brushed off an old concept. It is a hanging coaster, and so that's great. Disney needs a hanging coaster. That's already a coaster-heavy park, though, at Hollywood Studios, so I'm glad that we may be getting a looping coaster coming to the Villains Land, and so that's good. Again, though, folks, we call them as we see them. I'm not a fan of this new Cars expansion. That's I think you could get something better. On Indy, that's fine. It's fine. It's fine. And Encanto, we already told you this would be the Encanto house. We already gave you all the details about the ride many months ago, so you're good there. Pirates Tavern opening in 2025. That's it. And Mando and Grogu will join Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run. And this is another thing, folks, that we've been telling you. We told you that the Mandalorian characters were going to come to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, and that's because the sequel trilogy is so unpopular. And this other stuff, this Filoni stuff, is really getting very unpopular. So they're going to bring in Favreau's stuff. They're still not at the point where they're ready to bring in the original OG trilogy characters. Like, they're not that desperate yet, but they're pretty desperate. So this is another attempt to get some kind of attendance there. It's a terrible ride, though. It's just a flat-out terrible ride. We'll take another look at the Villains Land, and remember where I told you this needs to go. One good thing that suggests they might already be thinking that. Notice this pathway is completely straight. Okay, now all this other stuff, when you're looking at Disney concept art, and this is what I would tell you about Disneyland when it comes to the Avatar announcement, which I haven't even talked about yet. But you got to ignore some of this stuff, right? See these mountains in the background? All that's meant to make you get excited, and you should be excited. These are cool announcements. But concept art is concept art. It's not what it's going to look like in the end. One thing, though, that does give us a clue, this is a completely straight pathway that it's going through. And what do we see if it were to go in that spot? You'd probably have to run a completely straight pathway through the middle of it. Okay, that's how then you would cover the sides with the foreboding dark. I almost said dark universe. Sorry, that's epic universe. But you would have to cover that up to hide your surroundings. Okay. All right. So there you have it. Okay. We've got Zootopia. We already told you about that and told you what's all on the ride. You don't have to know about it. That was months ago again. We got the announcement that Tiana's Bayou Adventure will open in Disneyland in November. And what do I think about that? Because we just said that they don't have a date, and we just said it's going to cost them $100 million more, maybe $300 million to fix both of the rides, because apparently Disneyland is suffering the same problems. Well, I think what it says, folks, is that they consider it to be too damaging for them not to open that. And maybe they're going to go with the strategy of closing Disney World, this winter and trying to fix it at great expense. And on Disneyland, my suspicion here is they want to open it in the winter because they can run it at reduced hours and claim that it's weather. And then, Southern California doesn't really change in the winter, but they can say it's a little cool, maybe. I don't know. But anyway, we'll watch that. We'll let you know if we got it right or wrong, depending on how things go on. But Disneyland, we have been told, experiencing the same issues that Magic Kingdom is over at Disney World with Tiana's. Bottom line there is Tiana's in Disney World is just about inoperational. I mean, it just doesn't work. It's down at least as much as it's open in our estimation. All right, so let's give a rundown now of why they did all these announcements. So why in the world did Disney suddenly change? Is it because they just a change of heart and we should have just been listening to the cupcakers and the pixie dusters and Disney was always going to do this all along? No, that's not the way business works. That's very low resolution thinking. So let's think with a high resolution kind of lens here, folks. Disney made all these announcements because of Epic Universe. The Disney stock is dependent on the Disney parks, and specifically the domestic parks. And however much they want to pretend that Shanghai and Hong Kong and Paris really matter, and they matter to the people who live there and go to those things, the truth is that Disney World is 1/3 of all of Disney's profits, the entire company. And Disneyland adds some to that as well. So, when Epic Universe is so phenomenally good, so good, and it's opening next year, and you have nothing to combat against it, you have to open the floodgates finally. And that is what Disney is doing. It took a competitor to do this. Also, the channels such as this and others that have demanded Disney do better, it seems like we're finally getting through to them. How many of these things they're doing are finally fulfilling what we've said are key critical problems? Now, if you want to see what happens when you don't call out Disney, go look at Epcot and the state of that park. That is what happens. But these calls from Disney are very positive. Now, the Cars thing, I'm holding my judgment. And whether or not they do this the dumb way and destroy huge parts of Magic Kingdom to make this happen, that's going to determine whether or not I'm critical. So from going forward, you're going to know, is Pro critical or is he positive that it is based on a very simple premise of don't destroy the aesthetics of the park. And you don't have to do that because you have the land to put these things in their proper places so that Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, which is set like in the 1800s, doesn't have, cartoon cars driving all near it in plain visibility. You have the land to make this be a genuinely pleasant experience. Just because I don't think Cars goes there doesn't mean I'm going to complain. You have the land to not destroy Star Tours, the George Lucas attraction that is an homage to him. You have the ability to put this new Monsters coaster in a slot that is completely useless to you. I'm sorry you spent the money to pave it. Tough cookies. Break up the pavement and put it there. You have plenty of land. It is up to you to do this wisely and not stupidly. If they do it stupidly, we will call them out because we believe that bigger capacity, greater capacity, and greater footprint for these parks is definitely a huge component of what they need to do. The exception there, Epcot and Animal Kingdom don't need bigger footprints. They need more rides. And Disney for the past decade and a half, 2 decades, all they do is replace old rides with new rides. They don't give us really new rides that increase the number of attractions you can experience because it increases maintenance costs. That needs to stop because Epic Universe is going to eat their lunch. So the other thing you should take away from last night is that these are timed such that they're going to all essentially be coming out right as Bob Iger, quote unquote, retires. He'll still be CEO emeritus. He still has a consultation job through the 2030s. He'll never leave. But these will be, I think, the grand going away party. This will be the Iger legacy. And there'll be a testament to Iger's, what would you say, his final finale, his grand jubilee as he exits his kiss to the domestic parks and putting his final touch on them. That's what I think is happening here. I guess I should mention Avatar. Folks, if you think you're getting Avatar as it's shown in the concept art for Disneyland, you're not. I just hate to break that to you. It will look nice. They're not going to do a bad job, but a lot of that stuff that you're seeing that looks grandiose, that's going to be in interiors with screens making that happen. That's not physical sets you're going to get. I hate to end on a sour note, though. Overall, this is what Disney had to do. They had to do this. Their stock was going to tank if they didn't have something huge. And this deal about no blue sky, we're gonna put shovels in the ground. Why did they have to say that? Because nobody believes them anymore. So they actually had to give dates when they're going to end it. And the reason that they had to do that is because look what they did at Epcot. So when you have horrible situations, this is the best. What would you say? This is the best admittance. Admittance. I don't know. I can't English today. This is the best them admitting to you that they screwed up lately because they changed. And corporations don't just come out and say, man, we screwed up. They come out and they change. Disney changed. They didn't give you blue sky. They gave you start dates. They gave you end dates for the most part. And that seems to me to be the acceptance that what they've been doing didn't work. It opened the door for Epic Universe. In a best case scenario for Disney, they would be having all of this stuff releasing when Epic Universe opens next year. That would be the way to combat against Universal Studios. They don't have that. So the next best case for Disney is to do these as fast as they possibly can, and no more of this, a ride takes 5 years stuff. It doesn't look like, apparently Disney can get in a hurry now. Apparently they can. We'll see at Disneyland. If they start taking down parking garages and building parking garages in 2 years, an 11-story parking garage in Disneyland to make this happen, you'll know they're in a hurry, because that would have taken them 3 decades, under the prior leadership or whatever the protocols they had. Good Lord. All right, folks, we're not touching on the Disneyland Paris, Splash Mountain in Africa. We're not going to touch that. We'll come back. Many of these are going to get full videos in the future because we should give them that kind of dedication. But I wanted to give the full run through and let you know what I think about all of this, and hope we gave it to you. Balls and strikes, folks. We try to call it right down the middle. All right, until we meet again, ladies and gentlemen, click that like button, share, subscribe, click it, stick it to the algorithms, hit the notification bell, drop a comment down below, let us know your thoughts. And folks, we'll see you real soon. In the meantime, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.
Oh.
What are you doing?
Well, you see, I wanted to get some inside scoops on Disney and their, different corporations, if you know what I mean. So I figured, by looking into this fistbowl and sucking it randomly with my own energy that I pay for, you paid for, I could do the whole experience where you can be a master and spy on your targets.
You're an idiot. If you want to get the inside scoop on Disney, or even other media organizations, you should check out thatparkplace.com and subscribe to WDW Pro's YouTube channel. That'd be way easier, more accurate, and, less dumb.
Are you saying I won't get accurate information this way?
No, you can't.
Who'd have thunk?